So in a pretty interesting sequence of events, it actually seems like Bethesda just accidentally added a new vault into Fallout 76 with the most recent DLC update. And now to be clear, nobody from Bethesda has come out and been like, oh yeah, whoops, we didn't mean to add that in. It's more just inferences by looking at the state at which it was added in and some other features around it. Either way, in this video, we're going to be talking about what exactly this vault is, what role it's going to play, and how you can find it yourself. In addition, we'll also look at some of those other mysterious places that look like they could have been tied to this vault, and I'll give you the real explanation of what they were. So if you guys do enjoy the content, you can leave a like or subscribe, but with all of that being said, the main focus of today's video is going to be this new ominously placed vault in the northwest corner of the map. So there are several things very curious and interesting about this vault. First and foremost, it's a hidden or secret addition in the sense that it has no map marker associated with it. This is odd because even though we have 3 other placeholder vaults in Fallout 76, that being vaults 94, 96, and 63 that I've made a full video exploring, while those other ones do have map markers, this one doesn't. Even further, one of the most obvious aspects of this is it doesn't actually have a number on the exterior. Technically, in-game, you're not sure which vault this is. We've only discovered that it is Vault 65 through data mining. That little purple segment is just the missing texture that Bethesda has recurrently used throughout this game. So in effect, it seems like this was shipped without the proper texture being placed here. But even beyond all of that, we also do have the oddity of you could actually place your camp down right outside of it. This is interesting because in this most recent update to Fallout 76, one of the new additions was expanding some of the no build zones. So now right outside Vault 96, you can't put your camp down there anymore because it's going to be a future DLC area. My camp was actually there originally and I had to move it following this most recent update. But for whatever reason with this new vault, you could place it right outside, and some of the people that have glitched inside of the vault are reporting you could also place your camp down on the inside of this. So all of that taken together, it seems to me that Bethesda didn't necessarily intend for this to go live with this update. Naturally, that is pure speculation. We don't know for sure one way or another. It just seems really odd even for Bethesda to not just take that one extra step to put in the vault number to add in the no build zone. So as I mentioned before, through data mining in Fallout 76, we do discover that this is Vault 65. Glitching onto the inside, you don't find anything. Unlike some of these other vaults like 96, you can't explore the interior of this one or read any holotapes. It's pretty bare bones as it stands right now, but something we do know about this is it'll actually play a role in the Sheep Squatch questline. Or at least it seems very likely that it will. If you're not familiar, this is going to be a new questline coming to Fallout 76 on April 9th. It's going to be involving finding a new cryptid. Based on some of the teaser images or from the video, it looks like we're tracking this guy down. In the trailer, we get a brief look at his teeth, and this is a true cryptid in West Virginian lore. On those little maps where you could see the dots being connected, one of those dots is placed right around where this vault is located. And then of course from there it's pretty easy to connect the dots. We get a new update to Fallout 76, get a new vault, and just a few weeks away is a new questline, so it's likely these two things are connected. But one of the really curious parts about this is that's pretty much where everything ends as far as what we know about this vault. I previously speculated that those underground areas we saw in the recent Fallout 76 trailer, I'll have a full link to my breakdown video if you guys haven't seen it. I thought that was the vault. It certainly looked similar to a vault, but in reality, no, that's a different area, and I'll talk about that in a second. I think I've now pretty clearly confirmed what this location is and also what this other sewer system location is. So this vault largely remains a mystery. The only concrete information we have on it is it'll very likely play a role while discovering Sheep Squatch or hunting him down. As to what role, I really have no idea. If you go to the surrounding area of the map, it's actually fairly barren, which makes it cool that they're adding in a vault here. In the game right now, it was mostly just a bunch of hills and mountains. You could find the occasional camping gear in one of those locations. Maybe the Sheep Squatch was actually a byproduct of the vault. Maybe it was an experiment done in there. Maybe the vault will have a bunch of sheep in it or something. But at this point, it's pretty much all speculation. Fortunately, at this point, this new DLC is not too far away, so we will get answers shortly. Outside of that, there's a lot of other interesting things also added in and discovered through this update. There was another new vault added in, that with Vault 51. In the files of Fallout 76, you can find references to it, but that's it. This vault isn't presently viewable in-game, which makes it seem even more likely to me that Vault 63 going live was an accident. So of course, naturally, as a result of that, we don't know the location or any details about Vault 51. And of course, neither of these vaults have actually appeared in the Fallout lore up until this point, so they'll be newly introduced with Fallout 76. But then that brings us back to those two underground locations we saw in the recent Fallout 76 trailer. As I mentioned before, I incorrectly placed those locations as potentially being related to this vault when I covered them originally, but in reality, I think I could tell you exactly where both of them are going to take place. This one that originally I thought kind of looked like a vault with all the kind of industrial looking walling, this is going to be under Arctos Pharma, and this is pretty much 100% confirmed. If you actually look in some of the background of the video, you could actually see the Arctos Pharma lettering, but even further, you could see their very notable and distinct logo, which if you go into the in-game location right now, you can find that same logo. And even further, walking around the in-game location, you could find broken elevators. So it seems pretty likely to me that maybe you'll have to get this elevator working, or when the DLC comes out, it just will be working, and this will take you down underground. This location's pretty curious in a lot of ways. Through some of the terminals and even a holotape, it's quite clear they're messing around with mutations of creatures to some extent, but within it, you could actually find several recipes, and unlike, well, pretty much every other recipe in Fallout 76, these are not readable. It's not an object that you could actually teach your character, but rather it's just a misc item that you can look at and inspect, but otherwise totally uninteractable. You could find 4 of these on a shelf outside of a lab, and inside the lab you actually have protein sequencers. You can run a protein sequence, but there's no way to actually input items into this. You only have an output chest, and trying to put items on the conveyor belt leads to nothing happening. All of this taken together seems like this is going to be a very interesting location going forward. I think one potential explanation could be they were trying to manipulate or grow certain kinds of creatures. All of those characters in the underground portion are fighting a bunch of enemies. They had to get down there somewhere, but even beyond that, that underground base is really quite large. We can see there's massive overhead lights as well as a ton of other locations that look like they are going to be totally explorable. As of right now, based on data mining, it seems like these locations are actually in the game. I haven't seen anyone glitching into them or cheating their way in, but I wouldn't be shocked if over the next week or two, we might hear some more news around this, and if I hear anything, I definitely will let you guys know. Could this perhaps tie back into that same Sheep Squatch quest? Is it maybe one of the ways that Cryptid was created? Did they maybe have a bunch of sheep underground there and the Sheep Squatch was feeding off of them and then escaped? One of the interesting parts about that, if you actually reference back to that map with all the pinpoints in it, one of the pinpoints is right outside of this location. So it seems like at least for this first questline of finding the Sheep Squatch, it's actually going to be fairly large, taking you to several totally new locations that we haven't seen before. And for me at least, I was not expecting something of that length, adding in that much new content. Granted, how much there will be to actually do there, whether or not it'll just be a grindy location that you can go through, but either way, I am very interested to find out more about this. And outside of that, we actually have that other new location that we have seen, that's actually going to be called the Burroughs. This is another one that can be seen in the files of Fallout 76, but naturally looking at this, there wasn't a ton to really infer. It just looked like a kind of sewer. I originally speculated maybe this connects to that other location, or even further, maybe this is part of the vault. Well, that all changed just yesterday, where apparently somebody accidentally glitched into this location. So for this part of the video, take everything with a massive grain of salt. This guy reports he just glitched into a location and has no proof to back it up. He talks about some of the items he found in there, but he forgot to record a video or take any images. And then in fact, this was not an intentional glitching. In Fallout 76, there are these horde events you can teleport to on the map, and for whatever reason, sometimes while teleporting to that event, it will glitch you inside of a new location. This actually happened in the past with Vault 63. You probably heard about it, got quite a bit of coverage. Basically, a guy got into a horde event, got inside of Vault 63, and then begged Bethesda not to ban him, or at least that's what a lot of people reported on. And it seems like it happened again with the Burroughs. What we know about this is it's actually going to be a quest started in Harper's Ferry that is verifiable through data mining, and he describes it as a massive underground raider camp, with apparently a ton of ghouls all throughout it. He also describes it as very maze-like and easy to get lost in. He mentions in that he actually found several quest items. Apparently there's some kind of group known as the Burrow Boys who were actually kicked out of this, and then they're going to escape through the tunnels to a pump station. Although one of the interesting parts is this guy never actually connects it to the trailer video, or at least I didn't see him do that. But one of his comments, he describes it as a massive raider-like sewer base, which is kind of what we see here. We also see a bunch of ghouls as he describes in his post. So I assume that is going to be the Burrows. And again, this is another location that is in game right now. He mentions how to actually escape this, he had to use a manhole cover that put him in Harper's Ferry. This whole base apparently is basically under Harper's Ferry, but that after coming out, you couldn't actually see the manhole to get back into the base. And for this one, I don't really know what the explanation is. On that same Sheep cheap squatch poster, we don't see any arrow or dot around it. It could be pretty likely that it's actually part of the other questline we're getting. That's going to be where we follow a bunch of Pioneer scouts, but it's not immediately obvious to me how this would tie in. But either way, all of this taken together actually gets me pretty excited for the future of Fallout 76. I didn't quite realize how expansive some of these new DLC questlines would be. I honestly thought they'd just kind of be using some of the existing locations and not adding in new and rather large bases by the sound of it. There were a ton of other stuff added in all throughout the map that could really probably build off of this. Certain keypads that were previously inaccessible now are working, keys to locations that we previously couldn't get into, and there have been several reports of people discovering new objects in the world that were never there previously that will likely tie into some of these quests that are on the way. So yeah, with that all being said, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. To me, this all sounds really cool and exciting. I'm excited in just a few weeks to figure out what's going on with this quest, and of course to live stream it to all of you. But with that, as always again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.